meaning prayer. So the story is told. If indeed that loud scream was meant to signify his servanthood, today we can all proudly say, mission accomplished. Let us face it. There was brain in that big head. You can have a look at it this side. You can have a look at that picture. But most importantly, there was warmth, kindness, love, caring for people in that tiny body, carrying that big head. And speaking about brain in that head, one of his co-commissioner in the JSC put it this way: during his acting stint, he wrote seminal judgments of great quality. I did not know until now that there is something like seminal judgments. But indeed, it's true. The last time he spoke to us, 1st June 2021. And I'm now moving towards him talking to us. In that judgment, Shikoko AJ resented those litigants and attorneys who would drag their opponents, respondents, defendants far away from their residence or courts in the name of concurrent jurisdiction between the main and local seats. Imagine being taken out of Thohoyandou to Polokwane for a case when both the plaintiff and the defendant are staying at Thohoyandou. In the first two judgments of his judgment, he, Shikoko AJ, retorted as follows, and he speaks to us now. A period of more than 2 years has elapsed since the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development on 26 April 2019 determined the areas under the jurisdiction of the Mpumalanga Division of the High Court. By now, it should have been settled how territorial jurisdiction of this division operates, referring to the Mpumalanga Division. In the contrary, this case, referring to the case that was before him, is a living example that many litigants still approach territorial jurisdiction of the High Court in the manner it was under the Supreme Court Act number 59 of 1959. out of habit, without giving attention to the proclaimed jurisdictional boundaries of this division, referring to Mpumalanga, the applicant issued court process falling under the Middelburg area of jurisdiction in the main seat, which is in Nelspruit, on the wrong belief that the main seat, like is the position in other divisions, exercises concurrent jurisdiction with the local seats. This is not a separate incident. Discussion with other colleagues revealed that this practice is common practice within the division. This judgment is aimed at addressing the notion, close quote. Then in paragraph 8 of his judgment, Shikoko AJ proceeded, and he did this after having analyzed, and correctly so, the imperative in section 6 and 27 of the current Superior Courts Act. He proceeded as follows. Consideration of convenience and expense in these circumstances inevitably will in the main be practiced in favor of the dominus litis. By the way, the dominus litis is a person who decided to go to court and issue papers against you, much to the inconvenience and expense of the respondent or defendant. The Superior Courts Act, that is the current act, aims to correct this situation. This is the position because it resonates well with section 34 of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa. The promise of the right of access to justice as enshrined in section 34 of the Constitution is a promise that will be realized if litigants are given access to courts in their locality, not taking someone from here to Polokwane when you do have a court here. Otherwise, the right of access to justice would not worth the paper it is written on if dominus litis will continue to be allowed to choose to litigate in a court far away from the respondent or the defendant's residence in the name of concurrency of the court's jurisdiction, in the process making access to justice for the respondents or defendants unattainable. Close quote. To come and think about it, it is as if Shikoko AJ was saying to us, because 21st June, that's when he delivered this judgment. It is as if he was saying, as I would no longer be able to speak for the people of Mpumalanga in some few weeks to come, as I would no longer be able to speak for the ordinary members of our society on the right of access to justice and courts, here I do for the last time. If that is what he wanted to convey when he handed down this judgment on 21 June 2021. We just want to say this to him as colleagues. This judgment will forever be a living document, not only for the division and the people of Mpumalanga, but for the country as a whole. Now, speaking about the warmness, kindness, love and caring about people in that tiny body, there is another story to be told. I feel I will not be doing justice to Lutendo, his wife, in front of me, and the person concerned if the story is not told. As I said, I did not know Lutendo much except having identified him as a person with the potential to be a good judicial officer. And I then asked the minister to appoint him to act in our division during 2020. Listen to this one. On 2nd December 2020, when I was looking forward to have a good Christmas, I received an email, letter from attorneys Matobo, Rambau, Shikoko, and Inc. Without reading the letter, I asked myself, what have I done now? Am I being sued here? But as I started reading the letter, tears dropped. And listen to this. And that is Lutendo. This year, I had an opportunity to be appointed an acting judge of the High Court Mpumalanga Division, Mbombela. This was a very wonderful experience and an eye-opener on what goes on behind the scenes in the administration of justice. I really appreciate the honor afforded to me to serve at this level. During this time, and I know that all the officials in the division are listening. During this time, I worked with several secretaries who all do their best to ensure that the judges dispense justice in as convenient manner as possible. Without comparing them, I believe it will not be fair and on my part if I do not single out one of the members of the support staff for dedication and hard work that he puts on his task. I am not suggesting for a moment that he is the best. Probably that is typical of Lutendo. I did not work with all the people in the office. This little daughter who is crying touched my heart on Sunday when I was here. And I'm sorry that I'm interrupting my speech, but perhaps it is important to talk about her as she is crying. We were seated in a large sitting room here. She was next to her mother. The other siblings were called to come in to come and greet us as I was with Judge Patudi. As the other sibling approached me to greet me, she stood up from her mother and approached her elder sister, the one that she comes after. She just hugged her, almost like making a statement. My father would have wanted us to love and take care of each other. I was emotional, so much that I forgot that there is COVID. And I immediately hugged both of them as they were hugging each other. And I thought, now that she has reminded me about her, I needed to say this, and probably that is the kind of teaching that these children got from the mother and the father. In him, I saw an outstanding amount of dedication which deserves to be mentioned. In the fourth term, I had an opportunity to work with Mr. Welcome Mavimbela as my secretary for the 5 weeks of my acting stint. I was impressed in the manner Mr. Mavimbela dedicated himself to his work. He is a serious person who always is punctual. For the 5 weeks I worked with him, I never reminded him of any task to be undertaken, as he kept his diary and mine ever updated. What touched me the most is that on daily basis, he would start his work at 7 hours and he will be in the office until 16 hours 30. For the entire period that I worked with him, I never received any complaints pertaining to his performance. Anytime he thinks of something which must be done, even if it is after hours or weekends, he will ensure that same is communicated to the judge. He seemed to enjoy it when he is piled by more work, as each time I would pile him with more work, he will take it with a smile and say to me, "Judge, we are working here," close quote. Mr. Mavimbela performs at a highly professional level, and he is always courteous to his colleagues and practitioners. His level of respect to all persons who come to contact with him is remarkable. Importantly, his honesty and faithfulness towards his work is unquestionable. If he makes a mistake, it will be him who would alert me before I could pick it up. Finally, his work ethos made my work manageable and easy. I enjoyed working with him, and I believe He enjoys his job and he is suited to do it. I now understand why his colleagues in the first meeting that I attended with the staff and the judges of this division, his colleagues referred to him as a superman. That is how they define his dedication to his work and recognize that he is a multitasking person who is always available to extend a helping hand. Each time there is something to be done, he will endeavor to come up with solutions than problems. Against the above backdrop, now he's talking to me. This letter serves as my appreciation and recognition of the dedication Mr. Mavimpela put onto his work. I thought it prudent that you, as the head of court, you may need to know about the quality of support staff you have in your division. Close quote. I felt so ashamed of myself that the many years, the many weeks, the many months that we spent, we did not recognize that there was gold amongst our officials. But it took him just 5 weeks, to identify that goodness in this official. One might have thought that it will end up there between Shikoko and this official. It did not. This official, on the 5th May this year, underwent a serious throat operation. A lump was removed from his throat, and they found that there was cancer in the lump. Doctors were worried that the cancer could have spread throughout his body, and he had to go for further tests in Pretoria. This morning, we drove for more than 4 hours from Nelspruit to here. We still have another more than 4 hours to drive back to Mbombela. But let me tell you, that did not deter Lutendo and his wife to travel all these many hours from Limpopo to Mpumalanga on Saturday, 26 June 2021, to see Mr. Mavimpela after he was released from the hospital. And we are talking as if that is not enough. Lutendo and his wife paid for all of Mr. Mavimpela's travel cost and for refreshments when time came for Mr. Mavimpela to travel to Pretoria for further tests. And we are talking here about hundreds and hundreds of rand, probably even drawing from their reserves. Fortunately, Lutendo and his wife were happy to be told that the cancer did not spread through that official's body. Here is the lesson. Wherever Lutendo went, he found a brother. He found a sister. Wherever Lutendo and his wife went, they found a father and they found a mother. And here is how Mr. Mavimbela repaid Lutendo and his wife and for their generosity and kindness. There are many things I can say about Shikoko and his family since I knew them. Even now, when the 2 posts were advertised for judges in our division, I begged him to apply. I did so several times until he agreed. But he told me that he still has to speak to his wife and that he will give me a final answer after that. On the closing date, he sent me to the court to get his previous judgments in order for him to apply. I was very happy when he informed that everyone is encouraging him to apply. Do not get worried. The younger brother to Lutendo, the unplanned memorial service which we had on Sunday as a family, although I was seeing everyone for the first time, will remain there. But the least I can say to you is that clearly you were overpowered. He knows what I'm talking about, and the family knows what I'm talking about. He was very happy when informed that everyone is encouraging him to apply. The time he was in hospital, I was even saying to him that I am counting to the interviews and I know that you'll get one, close quote. By the way, there are 2 posts. Only Lutendo and his wife can be so generous, caring, and giving to a person they have known only for 5 weeks. And only Lutendo and his wife can be thanked in the manner in which Mr. Mavimbela thanked and paid them. Imagine what kind of a nation will become if all of us, we were to do something like this. But we need to be thankful to his parents. Those who had an opportunity to hear Lindalani speak during the funeral of his father will recall what he said about his parents. Lindalani has never seen his parents being angry with each other, except on one occasion when he was about 6, 7, or 8. Even then, the standoff did not last for long. On Sunday, as the mother was talking to us, a very amazing woman and very brave, it was very clear that she was trying to say this to us. I might have been the only one who felt the pains when Lutendo was delivered. But I am not going to grieve his death. But indeed, I am going to celebrate his wife because I now know that he was meant to serve the nation for which God wanted him to be. Mama, I just want to say to you, now that I know through the teaching which you gave to our children, now that I know it's very easy to create relationships with people, now that I know it is very easy to make relatives, I can assure you and your remaining children that I will be part and parcel of this family from now. And I mean it. I mean it. Everything that is happening in this family will be part of me. And that is the only thank you that we can do or say. And I would imagine on this one, I will be speaking on behalf of every citizen in this country. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Judge President, for such encouraging words. I'm very happy that the next speakers, almost all of them, I'm just checking, they are not going to spend more than 5 minutes. That I can assure you. No, I know all of them. All of them. I was advised to switch off my phone. And somehow somebody's phone is interfering with the network there, because you switch on your phone again. Can you please switch phones off? There are people that are in queue that are supposed to be part of this program, and it cannot happen if we keep on interfering the signal. Thank you very much for switching off your phone. And we are now calling upon Mr. Fulfero Siliga. It's in here. Yes, Fulfero, you can come to the podium. And once you finish, I will call Mr. Morondo Umbrani. He will follow you. So, Fulfero, time is yours. He is from MRS, not Mrs. No. MRS.
Ndayandu na watu wote ni masera ya vubi ndi Fulfero Siliga ndi kwamba ndo imelela muta wa Matobo na Rambos gwa tennis ndi shuma sa professional assistant MRS. Ndo diwa Sigogo thoma nga 2016 as a student, and I was officially part of MRS Inc. legal team in 2017. Musi wa Sigogo wa chimplesa with the candidate at any position. It is newly opened office in Abapulukwane. And then ndiko dito zumbura ga vudi duba laone raro vola nga 2017 va dakhane va ri Siliga ni songo tuwa ni chichaisa una mafhungo ane nda khonya kuamba naye u bvane foi ndo ḓi vhudzisa badi uri muthu vha ḓo khonya kuamba na nṋe mini nda fanisa ku pfesesa nda ḓi lindela ndi tshi lindela nda ya ofisini yavho vhashumisani vha MRS vha ḓivha uri arali muthu a vhuya pfhi kha ḓe nga vhasa vha tshi ni vhuya kha iṅwe pressure khulu badi ni sa ḓivhi na zwa uri vhasa vha ḓo vha khou ni vhidzela mini na kona u vha na pressure yeneyi ni a humbula no humbula uri ava muthu vha ḓo ni vhusa mbudziso dzifhio vha fhaḽa muthu vhane ara ni tshi dzhena ofisini yavho ndi ni tea u vha na phindula na tshiṅwe na tshiṅwe arali vha ni vhusa mbudziso ni tea u vha ni khou fhindula. Nga Tshivenḓa tshi ri u si dze muvhidzi tshivhidzelo sa tshiḓivhi, so ndo ri ndi tshi ya ngei ofisini u find out uri vha khou mbidzela mini, vha khou presenter with an opportunity of a lifetime, which was saving my articles at MRS Inc. So when I got to his office, he was like, I heard you are searching for articles. Unfortunately, we don't have space here in Thando. Mara, ro vula office ine ya vha Polokwane. Ni ḓo vha ni khou shuma na Khangale. Vhathu vha sa muḓivhi Khangale ndi confidence. Ri mu addressa nga Khangale ngori ndi zwe ra introducewa kha nga heneyo nḓila. Mushumoni hangei MRS ra sa vhidzani vhathu ngori vhone. Vhathu vhe ra tshi vha vhidza vhone havho Sigogo, vho Rambaho na vho Mathobo fhedzi. So that's how Judicial opportunity in Unichipasa. Imagine the level of excitement. Namusi vashimbudzisa uri ninga thoma lini, I was like anytime. That time ndo sa ḓivhi zori ndi khou tea u dzula gai, Polokwane thina na mashaka, thi ḓivhi muthu, and I couldn't even ask uri ndi khou ḓo dzula gai because of the level of excitement ye nda ndi nayo. So vho mbo ḓi sea vha ri ndo thoma next week. Just a day before I could report on duty, ro ṱuwa roṱhe Polokwane. I was overwhelmed to a point where I couldn't even ask uri vhasa zwino hafho ndi khou ḓo dzula gai futhi, thi ngo vhudzisa dzo mbalela hezwo zwithu. So ndi tshi swika vho mbo ḓi mpha a place to stay, one of the room where the office was situated, and after no badela electricity, and that's a bad rent because it was one of the room which was owned by MRS and for within the office. So I will forever be grateful for his kindness, hospitality, and his wisdom. I was saving articles under Confidence Sigogo, and I would sometimes consult with her, and she would refer me to Mrs. Gogo for further consultations. And he was always there. He created time to assist us, even with his busy schedule. So Renai Marase, we were so fortunate enough to have worked under his leadership. He played a very huge role to the kind of a person I am today. Zinorukwamba admitted attorney because of him. A great man has fallen, and he has made a huge impact in our life. We will forever be in our hearts. We are going to miss him and his advices. He was a legal guru who always had solutions to our problem. Reneva muta wa MRS rokelelo ridudura ubayedela misi yote and ridudura rishivafuna. To my former principal, Never Confidence Sigogo, who I respect and love and cherish, I will forever be indebted to her for her guidance and patience. Nas lessons in Awutu on. She has lost an amazing husband, a friend, and an amazing father to her children. I am so sorry for your loss. May God give you strength, peace, and comfort during this difficult time. His legacy will continue to live on through his good deeds. To Mutawa Sigogo, on behalf of MRS Inc., please accept our most sincere condolences at this time of grief. We cannot imagine what you are going through. We have lost a great leader. May his soul rest in peace. Very well.
This lady was doing the far here. So you are working very hard today. And God bless you. She's working very hard. And thanks very much, Mr. Siliga. As I promised, now I'm calling upon myself to come to the podium, and I'm here. Dzina langa ndi Humbulani Mulondo. I've known Benedict Sigogo long ago, I think 1986. That time I believe Benedict was 14 years. He was 14 years old. Ndichi tangana naye. Rotangana iani Bible School. Rijena kereke ya Reformed Church Road. Nandova ndichibva Mkumbani. Ene achikobva ngenoni Ngwenani. Zwila nova nono vuya lindene. Ubva Thohoyandou. Nanche Thohoyandou. Zviambori ndingazovewe nova nikotonga ezwilani. Baba bathanga ba Thohoyandou. Yeah. But nandova ndoima na pala limwe hanefhala to ḓivha uri why ndovha ndi si khou ya kha vhathu, but Beni Linde vo Msinyali vo those guys ndo hangwa vhaṅwe ve vhathanga, so vha tshi khou ḓa hafhaḽani somehow nṋe na Beni we just start clicking. Rava dzikhonani, we became friends. Ubva zwenezwo we were friends. Zwe nda vhona kha Beni, once he love you, o mbo ḓi ni funa. Ro vha ri tshi ri dzi conferenceni, nṋe ndo aluwa ndi tshi eḓela kha Trovo. That was my thing. But Beni we o thoma kha Mbete musi. So ri tshi ya dzi conferenceni, kha nṋe wa ḓela fhasi, it was nothing new. So o vha tshi ḓo ri Humbu ri ndi eḓele tsini na iyi. Tshithu tsha vha tshi funesa izwi ro eḓela tsini na tsini ndi u ntwasula mapundu, nda ndi na mapundu badi. So o ḓo ri mungana ni konḓelele, then a dzhie minwe yawe, hezwi ndi sathu humbula ḽi mbo ḓi pfhi twas ḽi bve bundu heliani. So ndi zwe ra vha ri tshi khou ita hezwo ri tshe vhaṱuku. Zwenezwi ri tshi khou aluwa, I think somewhere angavha over anavo 18 years, we had a discussion talking about Bible. Rudzani Muloiwa ari, and he have already finished Bible 2 times. Ndi kwamba u vhala ubva mathomoni ya mafhedziseloni. Na Rudzani Muloiwa, he was part of that group. Nṋe nda sedza nda wana uri I'm not sure uri ndo guma gai kha Bivhili. Beni ambo ḓi ri no, nṋe ndi tshe ndo i fhedza luthihi. U bva hafho nda ri na nṋe ndi nyago i dzhenela Bivhili. Ndi tshi vho tou i vhalela uri ndi i fhedze ngauri hu na muthu ono khou ri ono i fhedza luvhili, and it's younger than me. Havha vhathanga vha tshi ri ṱuṱuwedza ri sa bva. Linde, I think sometimes Lindani Sigogo, it was Sigogo, Advocate Sigogo. Ova tshi tamba role ya vha murathu, but most of the time rine ri hone, he become friend. Arali ndi tshi khou ri dzi khonani dza Beni ndi vhonyi, I will count you, my friend. So ro chimbila lwendo holunoni lwavha lwavhuḓi nga maanḓa. Zwiṅwe zwe nda zwi vhona ndi zwa uri Vho Sigogo Benedict, he was a very committed Christian. Ngauri kerekeni yashu ri vha na mapfumo hune ra vha ri tshi khou ya u funza vhathu ipfhi ḽa mudzimu mashangoni o fhambananaho. I don't remember any excuse ye a vhuya a ita a tshi ri a thi khou ya pfumoni ngauri ndi ḓo vha ndi tshi khou ita hezwinoni. Ro tshimbila na mashango manzhi ri tshi ya mapfumoni. Nga nṱhani ha zwenezwo Benedict o dzhena na kha dzi committee dza kerekeni ri tshe vhaswa. And then vhaswa vhahulwane kha riṋe vha zwi ḓivha uri arali ri hone a hu itiwi nga nḓila ine vha funa ngayo. Arali Beni a hone u ḓo ḓa writer meeting washu haya vha vhudziwa uri a zwi khou itiwa so. Vha zwi ḓivha, ndi to sa ḓivha uri hu na nyafa muhulwane we a vha hone nga tshifhinga tshashu. Arali hu tshi khou ḽiwa ṋama riṋe ra fhiwa khavhishi vha ḓo fanela u ṱalutshedza uri why riṋe ri tshi khou ḽa khavhishi vheni ni tshi khou ḽa ṋama, otherwise kha hu ḽiwe khavhishi. Vho Sigogo vhaṅwe vha 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 tshi ri vha na khani, ṱhamusi ngori vho vha vha tshi khou ita zwine vhone vha khou ṱoḓa zwone vhaḽa vho vha sa zwi ṱoḓi. Nṋe vhutshiloni hanga a thi humbuli ndi tshi tori hai ho muna u na khani. Otherwise arali it's either nṋe ndo vha ndi sa muhanedzi arali zwo ralo, arali vheiwe ni tshi khou ri u na khani. Mara ndo vha ndi tshi pfha a tshi amba zwithu zwi na sense ra ṱalutshedzana. The only one incident ye nṋe na Beni ra fhambana ene a ri decision yavhuḓi ndi heyi, nṋe nda vha ndi tshi khou ri ndi heyi, ndi musi a tshi fhambana na mme a tshisa. Ro lwa ra ita zwoṱhe a ri I've taken the decision. Well, I respected his decision. Vhutshilo haya phanḓa. 2 years later, Benedict a ḓa kha nṋe for some reason a vha a tshi khou advise a ri humbu vhutshiloni hafhanoni ni tshi khou tshila na mufumakadzi waṋu, makeani sure uri arali ni khou ṱoḓa u mu divorce tshi tou vha i last option, no ita zwoṱhe zwine na nga ita, i songo vha tshone tshithu tshine na gidimela tshone. Benedict Sigogo ndi muthu ane u funa vhana vhawe nga nḓila khulwane nga maanḓa. I think you have seen that. U funa mufumakadzi wawe nga mbilu yawe yoṱhe. Tshifhinga tshoṱhe zwino ndi tshi ya Polokwane ro vha ri ḓo swika ra foinelana ra ṱangana hone ra ṱangana hone. The last time ri tshi ṱangana o vhidza mufumakadzi wawe a ri kha ri ḓo ya ri yo ṱangana ri thome ri tou ḽa lunch. Vha khou zwi humbula musi. That was the last time ri tshi dzula roṱhe ri na Benedict ri vha raru ra ḽa lunch and it was good. Ro vha ri sa zwi ḓivhi zwa uri ndi lunch yo fhedzisela ri tshi khou ḽa naye nga heiḽani nḓila. Hu na zwithu zwinzhi zwe Benedict a ita na kerekeni. O ḓi fhedza o dzhena na kha church council a tshi vha murangaphanḓa kerekeni ya Reformed Church. Benedict ndi muthu ane o vha tshi thetshelesa kereke. O vha tshi thetshelesa kereke. Arali kereke ya ri hezwi zwe na ita zwo khakhea imelani hangeini zwino, u ḓo zwi ita nga u ralo. O vha ramulayo we na nṋe ndo mushumisa, not ndo khakha. U swikela zwino a thi thu vhuya nda ṱoḓa lawyer ndi tshi khou ri hey hu na emergency. Mara hu na miraḓo ya muṱani wa hashu ye vha ri zwithu zwo pringana. The first person ane nda muhumbula ndo vha ndi ḓo founela Benedict uri hey muzwala o fariwa. u ḓo vhudzisa mbudziso dzine a vhudzisa. I know arali o farwa nga ḽavhuṱanu zwi nga ḓi itea musumbuluwo a vhuya o mu fara nga tshanḓa, o vha a tshi ri thusa. Ndo vha ndi tshi khou amba na vho Mathobo ndi ri u nga ri ndi ḓo fanela u pfulutshela kha vhone ngauri Benedict ha tsheo. Benedict o vha a tshi dzulela u lwela vhathu, ndi uri arali zwithu zwa vhathu na musi ri kerekei, arali vhaswa vha si khou fariwa zwavhuḓi hu ḓo vha ene o no ḓo ima uri a zwi khou tshimbila zwavhuḓi. Benedict zwi tshi ḓa kha riṋe vha dzi ṱhama a si muthu ane a vha na tshiṱalula, o ri fara sa vhana vha miyawe. Nṋe hafhanoni a Sigogo naho ndo vho wana uri miyawe ndi muḓulu wanga, vha tou ri malume vha tshi amba nṋe ndo vha ndo no dzhia Lindelani ndi tshi ri ndi ene muḓulu wanga. Linde zwo tshintsha hezwiḽa zwithu, ni tou vha ṅwana wa muḓulu wanga ende ni zwi dzhie zwo tou ralo. Ho vha ho no vha hayani lune hu tshi itea zwithu zwa Benedict hafho, kana u khou graduate kana u khou vula nnḓu kana u khou ita mini, vha ḓo ri humbu zwithu khezwo. Lindelani a tshi mpfoinela uri ndi ḓo vha MC hafhanoni, ndo pfha uri oyu muthu u khou nkhwesa muhwalo une a thi nga u koni, mara at the same time nda vha ndi sa ṱoḓi u disappointa Linde na muṱa wa hawe, nda ri ndi ḓo ya. Ori u fhedza u amba hezwo, ḓuvha ḽe na mbudza Linde kho fhedza o thoma u fara nga vho past 2, ndi uri ndi tshi khou humbula uri mara ngoho nda ima phanḓa ndi tshi khou amba nga mungana wanga uri ha tsheo, zwithu zwine a thi tsha ḓo dovha na muvhona fhano shangoni zwo nkonḓela sa mungana. Honeha Benedict o sia o ri funza zwinzhi zwa vhutshilo, o sia o ri sumbedza nḓila, o sia o ri sumbedza uri zwi si zwavhuḓi ndi zwifhio, zwavhuḓi ndi zwifhio, riṋe ri ḓo tshimbila ngazwo. Kha vhana vha Benedict, vhasidzana vhanga vhane nda vha funa, ndi khou ri ni a ḓivha zwe khotsi a vheiwe vha 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 tshi khou lilela, vha ṱoḓa ni tshi vha vha khwine vhutshiloni haṋu. Zwino tshisa arali khotsi yau vho swika hafha, iwe u ḓa wa guma hafha, you have just started, ende ndi khou fulufhela uri zwi ḓo tshimbila. Lutendo, izwo zwithu zwi khou fara, hu khou fanela u shumiwa, ha dzheniwa tshikolo. U ga Sigogo hafha na Aza, ri khou fanela u vha ndi uri ra ita uri khotsi yashu vha takale. Dakalo thi ngo mu vhona, noṱhe ni shume ni tshi ri khou ṱoḓa u vhea dzina ḽa khotsi yashu ḽi ḓi dzula ḽi hone. I know vhaṅwe vha nga vha si khou zwi pfha, mara ri ḓo vha humbudza nga ḽiṅwe ḽa maḓuvha. Humbulani a si muthu wo ambesa, arali hu na zwiṅwe zwine vha ṱoḓa u ḓivha nga zwa vhuṱama ha Benedict, na humbulani na dziṅwe dziṱhama dzawe. Ri tshi fhedza hafhanoni ndi ḓo vha fha luṱingo, vha ḓo mpfoinela ra amba nga hazwo. Ndo livhuwa. Ndi khou vhidza vho Godfrey Nepawe, vha ḓo vha vha tshi khou ḓa u imelela dzi in-laws. Bo Godfrey Nepawe, I'm coming. Bo Godfrey Nepawe, ho vha ho fanela hu tshi khou ḓa mukalaha vho Patrick, vha ri kha hu ḓe vho Godfrey, a zwi khou tou tshimbila zwavhuḓi. Ndi ḓo vhuya ndi tshi ḽi dzudzanya.
Ndo livhuwa mushumi za mushumo. Ndo vhona tshidulo tshanga tshi sina maḓi nda tswa muṅwe. Haleluya. kamusi uchinga dadamana kama pungo mbiwa hote na musi. I'm very much pleased. Nikobona na Judge President wenda rona ya kote pendo wale khori. Richko itaza kingship bodera affiliation. Ndoribuwa wale khori ndowabona. But before I started with my issue, tamusi uchinga to humbudza judiciary reapa namusi. Nando ima hapana pana ndo ita research isongo funza le yaoni. Ndanda wana uri mibuso ya Africa yote. They only survived for 5 years. Already wanga pira 5 years. Kudamalisa mbiru. Arise the wash wa South Africa. Di mukara pezi bumandera buchimbira uzabudi. Temo ya Mbeki was not good ngore abongo fedza office temo office. Rather come kara buzuma but what was one nabona abongo ipedza. Now chikepe cha South Africa cho senda amazino. The ship of government in South Africa is not presently at its right position. Iko toda wafumungazi bonongabo sisi kampepe urini kwatisane naye ni bwezi chikepe on its position. Sabatu ufunza leo ni confess ndo kama tulisaniwa. Ndiko libuwa chipeda chana ne wacho ne chinga bukotsi munene bwachipiwa. Chauri adzimana ula marombe mkosi ya para. Chitu chine charo zambiru kamishimu raliwo. Ndu shuma na batu bane baba batendi. Batu bafuru pero. Bane kabone. Musi mutoa na masinda mbiloto raliwo. Sakone ni anga bafunzi bari form gange mrao. Chipinga chote bashishuma kamishuma ya shui. Bashimu wazigeda ngauri. Bachiamba za Lutendo. Batu bahone baya pesa za Lutendo. Ndimu siri chiamba za Lutendo wenwi notsiki wao ngama sinda milu anamusi nangasikono zupesesa. Neri kwamba na wakwasha hapari kuri namusi au narini ranganipa lone. Wenwi tanganezani matozi arushaka wuru. Chief Justice wa America John Roberts, this small microbe is telling us that we are not in charge. And the president of WHO, Gabriel Jesus, Ari, the microbe is so tiny. Haita zori narinebo warazi science. Usikana na musi. Ariko no dibazori choimangapi. Tamusi uchanga wambana ba Sigogo. Naba mchembere, naba ndu. ṅwaṅwa wa kalekale tshifhe Eli a tshiduloni tshawe ari Samueli munawe mbudze zwoṱhe zwe Yehova o vhudza zwone. Mukalahavho Eli vha fhindula nga ipfhi ḽithihi musi ono vha vhudza vha ri he is God. Nane ndi khou ri ri fhumudza na vhakwasha nga maipfhi maṱukuṱuku maṅwe a hone a wana kha bugu ya Jobo. Jobo uri zwo ri u muhulela amba maipfhi a tevhelaho. A ri ngauri mulamuleli wanga u a tshila, ndi ene ane a ḓo sala o ima kha mavu, ane a ḓo sala o ima kha mavu ndi ene. Ndi ḓo vhuya nda vhona mudzimu ndi ene ane nne nda ḓo mu vhona, ene nne. Ndi maṱo anga a si a muṅwe ane a ḓo mu vhona. Ndi zwone zwine mbilu yanga ya swela zwone misi yoṱhe. Ndi ngazwo ndi khou ri u amba na vhatendi zwi a thusa, vha ya pfesesa naho vha tshi khou vhaisala tshiimo tshine vha vha khatsho. Ipfhi ḽa mudzimu ḽi sumbedza uri naho zwo ḓa zwa ralo, naho Jobo o ṱangana na maṱhupho mangafho, ha ngo sema mudzimu. Kha ri konḓelele roṱhe this microbe is very much harmful. The Chief Justice of America, John Roberts, said, the microbe is teaching us about humility. U swikela vharangaphanḓa vha ḽifhasi and their subjects bow down to God. This microbe will never go away. This is God speaking. It is invisible as himself. Vhuyelani ha nṋe iwe vhathu vhanga, vhuyelani kha nṋe uri ndi kone u ni fhodza. Zwino ṱhamusi kha ṅwana hafha hoyu washu ane a vha mufumakadzi wa Beni, na maipfi maṱukuṱuku ndi sa thu dzula fhasi, ane a wana buguni ya Rute. Naomi uri ndi pfa tshanḓa tsha Yehova tsho ndemela. Vhoini vho mazwale vhanga, humani ni vhuyele ha vhahaṋu. Fhedzi Rute uri kha mazwale wawe, ili tsha nkombetshedza uri ndi hume ndi usiye rutea ita muano na washu ṅwana nga araro ine wa mazale wanga waya hone na nne ndi ḓo ya hone hune wa ḓo dzula na nne ndi ḓo dzulavho lushaka lwa hanu ndi lushaka lwa hashu mudzimu wa mazwalo wanga ndi mudzimu wanga hune iwe Naomi wa ḓo fa hone wa ḓo fela hone ndi hune nda ḓo sitwa hone yo bva kha nyite tsha uri na tsha uri tshine tsha ḓo ri fhambanya ndi lufu fhedzi buguni ya Isaya kuna mampfi a tevhelaho uri u songo ofha u songo tshenuwa ngauri mudzimu wau ndi nne ndi ḓo u tika nda u khwaṱhisa nga tshanḓa tshanga tshi ita zwivhuya bashu ri khou tshila kha shango ḽine vhunzhi ha lushaka lwa vhathu vho imela murahu a vha ṱoḓi u imisa muvhuso wa Yesu a huna na muphuresidennde na muthihi kha ḽifhasi ḽoṱhe o no vhuya a ri munyu uri i vairasi i bva ngafhi i vhangwa nga nnyi ndi nga mini i tshi tovhola muthu ndi khou ri mudzimu khou amba mask na u ṱamba zwanḓa na distancing kha ri ye phanḓa nga vhuronwane fhedzi hu na muthu o sinyiwaho muhulwane wa vhathu vhoṱhe God is angry about us all. My God is angry and u nṱha ha midzimu yoṱhe na uri nga ri zwi vhoni. Let's go back and kneel down and ask for forgiveness. Beni na vharathu vhawe na dzikhaladzi dzawe vha tshi vhona vho tou rali khou vhona nga heḽi fhungo nda sa ḽi bvisela khagala vhathu a vha nga zwi ḓivhi. Hu na tshidziki tsha vhabebi tsho vha alusaho. There are kingpins vho alusaho havha vhana. Havha vhana a vho ngo ya vha lingedza na ḓuvha na ḽithihi vha ite zwine vha funa fhano muḓini. Ndi ngazwo vha tshi khou vhona na ṋamusi a hu na ṅwana ane a nga swika phanḓa ha vhemeli a amba zwine a funa ngauri ha ngo aluswa ngazwo. So ri khou vha livhuwa nga maanḓa vho ita hezwi. Na nṋe ndi khou ri vhashu a ri wele murahu ri ye hayo. Hu na vhathu a fhano shangoni vhane vha tou shona no ḓivha zwo pfhi ba ba Lutendo, ba ba pulupeli, ndi ba Kristo. Nana ndi kori una munna we a vona tombo no pfi corona le tshi khou bvalwa nzheni, a dovha a vhona vhathu vha tshi wa nṱha muri vha tshi wa sa maṱari a muri.
Zwiṅwe vha ḓo zwi pfa vha sa zwi pfesese vho ri vho zwi thetshelesa. Ri ḓo humbela vho advocate Lindelani Sigogo na vhone vha ḓe ngeno phanḓa vho imela dzi siblings. Vho Sigogo.
Thank you, Program Director. I will also use my phone. It's on airplane mode, so I don't think it will disturb any networks. To Vokangare, the girls and Mami, I have been requested today by my remaining siblings, Colonel Sigogo and Mr. Ndamurero Edward Sigogo, to share with you our lives with your husband, your son, your father, yet our sibling, Mr. Lutendo Benedict Sigogo. As I stand before you today, it's trying times for us. As you are aware, we buried our late father, who passed due to natural causes on the 17th of July this year. Our late brother and his wife were not even able to attend our father's funeral because they were already in isolation in Polokwane due to COVID-19 issues. Yesterday, we learned of the passing of our sister, Mutondi Chamanovere, also due to COVID-19 complications. She never got a chance to meet her brother after she came back to bury her father. Through all this, we believe that God's will has been done. Only He will give us the wisdom and guidance to go further. As a family, we saw God's hand and blessings even in these trying times, from the unimaginable support that we have received from all over this country. First, it was our immediate families, both the Sigogo and the Nepawe families. We've seen your support. The entire legal profession is shattered. The judiciary is also shattered. Our government is also in disbelief. We've received confirmation of all this from the Ministry of Justice and Correctional Services as well. We have received messages from the Office of the Chief Justice, from the Office of the Deputy Chief Justice, from all over the world, until the passing of our brother, or his departure on the 31st of July, 2021. To us, he was just a sibling. He was just a brother. We never knew, and this I say, the entire family never knew what a great man and a great human being Lutendo was. And this is because of the way he interacted with us. We just saw us with an ordinary man, that we were able to get all that we wanted from him, be it advices, be it leadership when he was requested to do so. But you will have heard from the speeches, which I can attest to, that whatever you're saying about him is the truth. Although being a giant, Benedict bent down to us so that we could reach him and believed that he was our equal. That is what we believed all along. However, now we thank God for allowing Benedict to touch our lives from such proximity. We can now say that God had blessed us with such a special gift. As a brother, he loved all of us equally, and he was a positive influence in our lives. He united all of us, from Ndamu, the youngest, to Pesi, the eldest. I know when it came to Ndamu, if I just picked up a phone and say there's this and that about Ndamu that I want you to please fix for us, he will do that quickly. Or I will have actually had my tantrum thrown at Ndamu, and Ndamu probably won't listen quickly. But if I called on Lutendo, I know he will listen. And to Bokotsimuru, if there was also an issue, I wouldn't even go to Bokotsimuru because we know it's Bokotsimuru, we don't go to him. Whatever problems there were, I would just go to say to Benedict in secret. I said, there's this issue. He said, don't worry, I'll solve it. And we know he will go and quietly do it with Bokotsimuru, and then we know things will be back on track. That's the phenomenal person he was to us in the Nucleus family. And there is this thing that I'm going to miss dearly about him as well. He never addressed me as Lindelani. He never addressed Ndamulelo as Ndamulelo. He never addressed Bokotsimuru Pesi as Pesi. He would always say, Sigogo. When he gives you a call and you answer, he would say, Vuvwani Sigogo. That's how proud he was of being a Sigogo. Whenever he would be in the Gauteng vicinity, where most of us now live, he would make sure that he would visit us, each one of us, and sit with the children, understand from each one of the children what they're busy with in their lives. He was very concerned and wanted to always be updated about his nephews and nieces' education. He related to each one of them in a special way. They were his children too. Growing up, I had the privilege of spending more time with him than the rest of the siblings. This is because we were born 11 months apart. For lack of better word, it's called Irish twins. In Chivenda, it's called Marera Vanda. As youngsters, he was very protective of me. his friends automatically became my friends, as you would have heard from the representative of the friends. However, when it came to my friends, he had to approve them first before they become both our friends. So I ended up not having my own friends aside from him. We were in the same class from standard 1 until we obtained our senior degrees. So you can imagine it was Sigogo and Sigogo, but let me share this with you. At school, be it high school, be it varsity, he was never known as Benedict or Lutendo. He was known by his surname, Sigogo. So he carried the surname Sigogo. And then, on the other hand, do you know what my name was? Sigogo's brother. So it was like, I'm not a Sigogo. So that's how I was under his shadow, and I enjoyed being under his protection. From an early age, I knew him to be a fearless person, very opinionated, as others put it, and they are correct. A fearless leader and an activist, always fighting for justice wherever he was. If I have to share this with you, I know his political influence comes mainly from our cousin and the inspiration that we got from our cousin, Borachwanda Semsondo. He played a very big role in us being politically aware and standing for our rights and fighting for justice. I will tell you a little story there quickly. Borachwanda used to believe that Benny would make a very good politician. But when it came to me, I said, but I also like politics. I said, no. You're better off being a pastor. So I had to accept that then it means there must be something that he saw. And today I can say and attest, there was indeed something that he saw. It was only at the age of 15. I was 15. So you can add your 11 months to that 15 to determine how old Benny was. He took me, said, no, today we're going to be comrades. I said, what is that? He says, no, come with me. He took me, we joined a youth congress at the time. We were staying at Toyando. It used to be known Toyando Youth Congress. It was a political structure that was banned at the time. So you could be arrested. That's what it meant. And we were still at high school. And Benny said, we're joining it. And then we went there, we joined. So now I had to understand the dynamics around it, because now we are almost now like becoming terrorists. And most of the members in that structure, and that's what's amazing, they were not high school students. They were university students and people that were working. So we were these very young boys participating in politics at the time. I believe that it was through his influence that my life was shaped. Not only did he influence me when it comes to issues of life, he also influenced me when it came to issues of pursuing my career in law. That I must say. We were still at high school in Toyando, where during breaks, Benedict would say, you know what, I think the periods that are coming afterwards are not very important. Let's go to court. We're going to sit in court. We must hear things that happen in court. Then we'll go there and sit in court. That day you must take a jersey with, so that you can be allowed to sit inside a magistrate court. Then listening to cases and so on, we became very interested in terms of this law. Wherever we went, as I indicated, he was the Sigogo, I was his brother. And whatever activities were happening, he allowed me to access his friends. But he never stopped to protect me. He was the president of the SRC when we were at high school. And here too, there was an incident. I'm telling you about the young Lutendo. There was an incident there where the teachers were on a go-slow. So we were coming to school a day, and then the next day, and the teachers are not coming to teach us. Benedict says, enough is enough. These teachers is either they want to teach or they don't. We are going to march into that staff room. And he convinced all of us, we went there to march to that staff room. It was almost getting very chaotic. And the following day, indeed, we were back in class. That's who he was. He demanded it for us. At varsity, I remember his election slogan for the SRC. It was the quest for zero corruption. This you would have heard from the narrations that you heard from various speakers, that indeed he was an incorruptible man. He remained steadfast in what he believed to be the truth, a man of honor, integrity, and dignity. I remember this other incident as well at varsity. There was a lecturer, part-time lecturer, that would come there as, and smoke in class, teaching us. Then Benedict saw that this is not on. You can smoke outside, but inside class, and you're blowing your smoke inside the entire class. Benedict, at the time, he was part of the Law Student Council. He came to our class one afternoon, and he spoke to the teacher. He said, can I please, to the lecturer, can I please address the students? He was a very tiny, little-bodied. JP, he was way tinier than what you saw him when you met him. He was a very skinny man. Benedict said, I would like to address the class about certain issues, if you can excuse us. The lecturer says, I'm going nowhere. Then Benedict said, you know what, class, I think from now on, and I'm telling you now, this class is dismissed until further notice. And that's what happened. That lecturer was dismissed afterwards. I mean, many that are listening will remember these stories, because I received a lot of messages from some of my classmates who can attest to all this. When I started with my articles as a candidate attorney, he was already ahead of me, because he started his articles with the law clinic at the university. This gave me a huge advantage in becoming a lawyer, because I remember my first case. He sat down with me to prepare me, and we had to write everything down, not leaving anything out, about the procedure. When you stand up, how do you address the court, and when you immediately sit down, and all those. So he had to make sure that it was going to be perfect. I mean, notwithstanding the fact that prior experiences and exposure of just witnessing court and the moot course that we would have had at university, but he took the time to make sure that everything was going to be executed expertly. And that has helped me a lot. He always cared, even after we departed, when I went first to practice here, JP, under your jurisdiction. That's where I was, as we discussed the other day, when I started my career, actually, where I started as a prosecutor. Then I moved to Johannesburg. One thing about Benedict, he loved knowledge and he loved education. He was always reading, and he was a knowledge bank. Each time he would want to find out, what are you reading? And he would tell you what he's reading about. And there was never a time that he would be reading one book. I'm talking about besides his law books and every other activities as a leader of the organization. He would be reading 2 or 3 books at the same time. He was also a big influence to our mother in terms of this reading. She is an author of books, but Benedict will make sure he buys her more books to read than to give her the opportunity to write, so that when she writes, whatever she writes, she must be guided by how other people write properly, not just write. Although untimely, we accept that God saw it fitting to call him this time. As a family, we appreciate the care that he received from the medical staff at Mediclinic Hospital in Polokwane. And we must say this as a family. We fully support the government's efforts to fight the coronavirus pandemic. As the Sigogo family, we say in our grieving, we shall not retreat, but we shall intensify our fight against this pandemic. And this can be done following the protocols as we are guided by scientists and the government in this regard. We also ask that all who were touched by our situation, where we have had 2 successive deaths, completely unrelated, of COVID-19 pandemic cases, to actually join us in this fight and intensify our fight by actually making sure that adherence to the protocols is not an option, but a way of life until we defeat this virus. God will be with us in that fight. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Muratua Sigogo. Now we are going to call upon Nadel National. It will no longer be Mvuso, the president, but we have got Nolita Jali, whom we will watch from our screens. The time is yours.
Thank you very much, Program Director. To the Judiciary, Honorable Justice Lehodi, members of the profession, the NPA, holders present here today, council members of the LPC and provinces, comrades, friends, family of Acting Justice Sigogo, whom I will interchangeably call Lutendo or Sigogo as I talk to you today. Greetings to you all this afternoon. Death is always sad news. As the book of Job 14 puts it, man that is born of a woman is of few days and full of trouble. He cometh forth like a flower, and it is cut down. He fleeth also as a shadow, and continueth not. Today we are gathered here, still in shock and disbelief, to celebrate the life of Acting Justice Lutendo Sigogo, a life well lived. The loss of Sigogo is a sober reminder of how short our life is and what a life worth living should resemble. Apart from being an accomplished legal practitioner who served the profession with pride and diligence, Sigogo was a decent human being and a brother, a trait so rare to find these days. At his young age, he has accomplished so much and indeed worthy of imitation. In explaining the reason he chose law as a career path, this is what he said, and I quote, "When I went to secondary school in 1986, I immediately became conscious of the harsh realities which were experienced by all Black communities in the Republic of South Africa and the Bantustan administration. The state of emergency, which was declared in 1985, was an eye-opener for me and many of my friends. The news of arrests and killings of the freedom fighters instilled in me the urge to be a lawyer and fight their cause throughout using law," unquote. It is clear from the words of Sigogo and the amount of work and sacrifices he made in fighting for transformation in the legal profession that he had a deep love for his people. He saw the plight of Black people, especially young legal practitioners, and decided to do something about it. And he did that very well. Inspired by such a man, we invite all those who are gathered today to draw inspiration from Sigogo and their eyes on our society today. Equality is yet to be achieved in South Africa. The Gini in South Africa reported to be among the highest in the world. Unemployment is high, especially among the youth. South Africa meets all the requirements of a state, but lacks the sense of brotherhood and sisterhood among its citizens to even dare to be called a nation. We have throughout history seen how the youth changed the narrative of any revolution. The June 16 revolution and the Fees Must Fall movement. We also know that a revolution without leadership is dangerous and by hooligans. We need to go back to our roots and learn ubuntu. That ubuntu that says, "I am my brother's keeper." That ubuntu that says, "A child is raised by a village." The youth is the pillar of any society, and any society that does not take care of its youth is a lost society, because then it deprives itself of future leaders. Sigogo knew this and served his generation with distinction and is now resting with his forefathers. Sigogo had a passion for education and training. He understood well that knowledge is power, but education develops the thinking system of the brain. In one of his songs, Mzwakhe Mbuli said, "Ukufa kwengqondo kukufa komzimba, ukufa komzimba kukufa komuntu." What have we taught our youth? Have we taught them looting from government coffers, looting from shops, and looting from people in their homes, destroying that which was already constructed and then killing one another? What is a nation that does not observe the rule of law? As we mourn the death of Lutendo, let us remember who we are and what we want to become and go back and find solutions ourselves. We do not know what is wrong and what is right anymore. Lutendo stood for justice. Under the rule of law, it is clear, law is clear, it is known, and it is enforced. It took us years to have the law that is just in South Africa, and it took a few hours, as we saw, to destabilize that on a grand scale. We pass our deepest and most sincere condolences to the Sigogo family, and we pray that God comforts you. We also cry and send our deepest condolences to our sister organization, the Black Lawyers Association, the legal profession at large, and to Nadel. The pain of losing such a wonderful human being cannot be put into words. Long live the spirit of Lutendo Sigogo, long live. And to those of us who are here and who are left behind, Let us build our nation in memory of Lutendo. I thank you, Chair, and I thank you for this opportunity because initially we had challenges with connection. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nolita Jali. We are continuing with our program, and now I'm calling upon children representative who will be Chisapungo, and when Chisapungo is done, Mukeguru Boemeli Badombodida ba amba hangenoni phanḓa zwi amba uri Chisapungo na makhulu wawe vha ḓo tou tevhekana. Thank you. Da Boemelina. Okay.
Loribu, Program Director for Judicial. Greetings to the House at large. I'll be here speaking on behalf of all my sisters and myself. Daddy. It was on Saturday, the 31st of July 2021, when I got a call from my uncle Lutendo Sigogo, informing me that unfortunately my dad had passed away. I felt my heart sink into my stomach as I burst into tears, sitting in my room at rest. I had just returned to campus from home a few days ago, where I left you, Dad, in a state of recovery. I had so many questions, but no one to answer them for me. All of a sudden, I felt overwhelmed with confusion, and I just sat on my bed feeling pain. Till this day, I cannot comprehend. He left me in pain, a pain I doubt anything can heal. He left a void. A void nothing can fill. Daddy was our role model, and everyone around him always looked up to him. He was a man of character, and most importantly, he handled every situation in a dignified manner. Daddy never raised his voice at us. He was never quick to react. He would always take his time in assessing anything. It could be a question, a statement, or a problem. And only when he was satisfied with his response, he would then respond, and that would be his final say. He valued family over everything. I remember when the end of my very first semester in varsity came and I had to come back home. Instead of letting me use public transportation, my dad organized a mini family trip. He drove all the way to the Free State with all 4 of my siblings and our mother on a Friday. He had a meeting to attend the following day, which was a Saturday, so he multitasked and he drove us home while he had headsets on so that he could still be participating in the virtual meeting. He instilled a tradition where no birthday goes uncelebrated in our household. From as little as only eating cake to having big birthday parties with extended family and friends present. Daddy made sure that every single achievement was celebrated. from passing a subject with a good grade to passing the whole term, not to mention making it to the top 10 in your class. He'd be very proud and celebrate our achievements while simultaneously pushing us to do better. He was a hardworking man, and he instilled in us the same seed, putting this to practice in the beginning of a new school term. We would always agree, or rather set goals on marks we would aim to get, me and my siblings, and then also like, and what I would, or we would like to get as a reward. The lesson I learned from this act is that good things come to those that work hard. He was so passionate about his work as much as he was passionate about being a father to us. COVID made us really notice how passionate he was about his work when he was working from home. There were days where he would be working from home and our mother would ask him to go collect my siblings from school. So he would go out to fetch them well dressed in formal from the waist up and casual from the waist down. He taught me that a library should not be a foreign space to a student. Daddy told me how he traveled from one university to another to use their libraries since certain books were not found in his university. He told me how he only left the library to eat, but he'd be eating and holding a book on his other hand. This inspired me to study harder. One thing I'll miss the most about my dad is how each time we travel, he would ask me how many songs I have on my phone, and the number of songs on my phone would be nowhere near half of the songs he had on his. I was always suspicious of this fact because I couldn't understand how he would beat me with the number of songs he had at his age. But later on, I then found out the reason why he has so many songs. He just had 4 to 6 versions of the same song. I remember when growing up, we would have to travel to Gauteng. Daddy knew how much I adored Petroport. He always made sure that we'd stop and I'd have my all-time favorite meal, which was a cheeseburger and a strawberry milkshake without fail. There's this one trip to Gauteng that stands out for me. So I saw Petroport from afar. As we got closer and closer to it, I could tell that the car was not slowing down. So I started shouting, Daddy, Kefala, Kefala. Lucy, it was later too. There it is. Thinking he had not noticed the building. Little did I know he had noticed the building. It was just that we were in a hurry. The younger me didn't know that. I remember throwing a little tantrum on the car seat, and I cried until I eventually fell asleep. There was a time we went to Zimbabwe. We had just arrived at the hotel we were sleeping in when I looked out the window and I saw a restaurant logo that I could recognize. I'd like to believe it was KFC. So I started crying because I wanted a burger as always. So my parents took me to the KFC. I spotted from our hotel window. When we got there, my parents still had rents on them. Now they had to go change the money into Zimbabwean dollars. Little did I know the burger I wanted required 2 full briefcases of Zimbabwean dollars. But my daddy didn't hesitate paying the price just to see me happy. He always made sure that we got what we wanted. In 2010, Daddy took me to Peter Mkaba Stadium in Polokwane to watch one of the FIFA World Cup matches with him. He was so excited about taking his 7-year-old daughter to watch soccer with him. Mind you, I knew nothing about soccer. I remember we did the wave, and I kept waiting for one to come our way. He also bought me a hat which had dangling bells from it, and a vuvuzela because everyone had one. Whenever Daddy traveled overseas, he would make sure he got each of us a souvenir. He would say to us, at least you'll be able to tell people that our father has traveled to overseas. and show proof of all the places I have been because I always bought you clothes. One thing that calms me in this difficult time is listening to the song Sejedo by Angelique Kidjo and Ziggy Marley. On our last long distance trip from Gwenani to Polokwane, he played his share of music, which was 1 hour long, and he let me play my share of music for the last 1 hour of the trip. But before he let me play my share of the music, he played the song Sejedo, and he was so happy at how I liked the song. I will miss our long drives and the sharing that we had. Now I'll read a part from my sister Dakaro. It says, the best memory was when it was my birthday. Daddy and my mother came into my room singing happy birthday. I remember smiling so hard, my mouth started hurting. One thing I learned from him was that education is the key to success and to cherish every moment. I will never forget that he was the best father in my life. And then the part from Lutendo is the good memories that she had where it was the day before he tested positive for COVID. I hugged him for the last time to say good night, but I didn't know it was goodbye. The lesson she learned was he taught me that books are the key to success. Something I'll always remember, this is Lutendo speaking, there was a day when we were going to Bloemfontein, and I was from Venda, and he played one song many times, but different versions, where I even ended up learning the lyrics. And then apart from Azania, Daddy was a good braai master. I am okay knowing that Daddy went to be with his dad. Although I won't see him anymore, I know he will always be on my side. I have pictures and funny videos that will always remind me of how much he loved us. Shikoko is still small, but I will always tell her about our dad. I have other daddies now. Goni's dad, Ria's dad, and Makesha's dad are my new daddies now. So I will always have a father. And what Sigogo would always say is my daddy? And she would always argue with Azania about whose daddy it was. And it's our dad. We will always love you, Daddy, and you will continue to live in our hearts. Rest in eternal peace, Daddy. Thank you.
Masiari chama cheroni chera dzulapa zokopfochi sokopi he vafio vachikwadhirisiwa rinengera varishishimono auna madzinayo manje vutichara zvino nendikoda vondidosokore vatu vote kavapendiko vatanganedza sinanefa wendi muratu wanga chipiwo like a coin, Ben had two sides. I would like to tell you about the side you do not know about him. Indeed, Benny was born on the 20th of December, 1972 and it was on a Thursday. Tomorrow will be Thursday when we will be laying him to rest. He was only a few months old when I fell pregnant by Lindelani. He also told you. You know what happened? When I was that pregnant, there was this newsletter in Chivenda called Mbela Panda, and it was campaigning about family planning, and I didn't plan my family. You know, that period, hey, I was so stressed. When I told my husband, he was working at Mutale. When he came back, I said, I am pregnant. He said, I am leaving. I'm going back. And I said, I will go back to my homestead. And he said, sorry. They grew up like twins. But like every other siblings in families, they fought every time. One day, while they were fighting, I said, here comes the fight. Then they stopped fighting and asked me, Ma, what is a fight? I said, just sit down and wait. You will see the fight coming. Soon they were fighting. I said, there is the fight. And from that day, they never fought again. Benny started school a year before Lindelani, but Lindelani started school being an underage. Linde was more cleverer than Ben. Ben failed standard 1, and Linde was promoted to standard 1. When I came back from school, I found Benny sleeping in a heavy blanket in our kitchen, Chitangani. I talked to him, Benny, why are you crying, my son? He said, I'm crying because I failed. And I said to him, you know what? When I asked God to give me a child, I never instructed God to give me an intelligent child. I just said, God, I want a child. And he gave you me, and he gave me you. And I accept you with all your failures. And Benny was relieved. Lindelani was indeed more intelligent. When they were in the same class, we were still using positions. Lindelani would be ahead and Benny would be backwards. So it was when they completed their first degree that Lindelani could not graduate in May. Ben graduated in May and Lindelani graduated in September. I was very happy. I'm telling you the truth. I was very happy. I told them that now Ben is a big brother. And even when Ben completed his master's degree, I was also very happy. But Lindelani came from Johannesburg and came to Petersburg, and then he hosted us. So we were very happy. Even though I was happy with Ben, Lindelani was also happy with his brother. Many people are saying that how come that I brought my children up in a good manner? I was not that clever, I was not rich. But one day I read a magazine called Reader's Digest, and I found a sentence which reads, the little we have, we share, and the more we don't have, we do away with. And that was the slogan of our family. Like every children in families, they were also mischievous. They stole biscuits, drinks, and everything that was prepared for visitors, they stole. But I said, bone mukala, re dilo tse sane re zithu. Arali ranga vea kana ma biscuits, rawana otsiwa. We look for the culprit. When the culprit is found, we go and buy a packet of biscuits, then we eat while the culprit is watching us. I was just an educator, and the father was just a clerk. We did not have much. So we resolved that in order for these children to understand us, we showed them our salary advices, and that helped us a lot. Because they couldn't ask for what they know that we will not be able to give them. Benny was a caring person. Rindelani married before Ben. Then Benny asked Rindelani, what should I buy you? Rindelani said, I want a television set. But Benny had no television set, but he bought Rindelani a television set. Now, he was sick. He was not going to attend the funeral. So, Rindelani and Percy, myself and my sister, we went to Louis Trichardt. The main purpose of the journey was to go and arrange for the funeral at Safas. But when we came back, Benny phoned me. Ma, what did Percy and Rindelani do at Louis Trichardt? I said, what do you mean? I said, what did they buy you? Did they buy you clothes to wear tomorrow during my father's funeral? I said, no, my child, I don't want fancy clothes. He said, I said, I'm not saying fancy clothes. I mean, it is my policy that when your loved one passed on, you should be given new clothes. Then he instructed these women. It was around Mavengera Bakevara. I'll go to Toyando and buy my mother clothes to wear tomorrow. And they rushed to Toyando. When he was in hospital, he was worried that, is there sufficient electricity to run my father's funeral? Then I said, there is. And where did you get the money? I said, we took the money, this, when I was never to work with this, I never, do jara renganga zum dagasi. And he said, okay. Now, we did not tell him that Mutondi was ill. And he said, why did you not tell me that my sister is in hospital? Bure said, no, we wanted to protect you. Protecting me from what? Rinde, so sorry, I didn't mean Rinde. Benny interrogated Bure and said, now where is she? And she said, she's in Pulusho. He said, go and transfer my sister from Pulusho to Mediclinic. How are we going to do that? He had promises that maybe he can be transferred to Edinburgh. He said, this bed that I'm sleeping on, you tell the people in Pulusho that my sister is coming to sleep on this bed because I'm going to Edinburgh. He was instructing the hospital administration, and I didn't know that they can do that. But he said his sister should be transferred to a Mediclinic, but it was impossible. I'm diabetic, and his father used to. Yes, he used to dialyze. We went to Dr. Chitate twice a year. He used, when he's busy, he will look for a driver to take us to Polokwane. But if he has ample time, he would drive from Polokwane, come fetch us from Polokwane to fetch us here 4 o'clock, so that by past 6 we should be in Polokwane. He used to do that every time. He didn't tire. But now COVID came, and he was working from home. He slept at his homestead at Mabunda. Then 4 o'clock he came here. He took us. He told us, now I won't bring you in the afternoon. You will sit in my home until I finish my work. So we sat there. He was working. And that was the day that we had our last joke. When we were on our way back, I said to him, hey, today, if you had another child, according to our culture, the events that are happening in the family will lead us to name a child. So your child will be my Lord. Because every time when we were there, we said, oh, my Lord, oh, my Lord, oh, my Lord. I said, that child will be called my Lord. And my Lord will not be born because my son is gone. That was my last joke with him. I will tell you something tomorrow. To my children, I say, 3 to 4 weeks back, I had 5 children, 4 boys and a girl. But today, I have only 3 children, boys only, no girl. 3 to 4 weeks ago, I had 5 children who have a father. Now I have 3 children without a father. 3 to 4 weeks back, I have 19 children who all have parents. But today, I have, of the 19, 8 grandchildren had single parents. 3 to 4 weeks ago, I had 2 great children with parents, but now one has a single grandparent. To my 3 children, I say, please take care of Benny and Mutondi's children. To Kangale and Elekanyani, my son-in-law, I say, please love my grandchildren and encourage them to love one another. As for all of you here today who are witnessing Ben's good deeds, I urge you to help me grow Benny's children to be 5 better Bens. 5 better Bens. He used to call, girls, let's go. Girls, let's do this. Girls, he called them girls. So I would be very grateful if all of you help me grow them to be better girls. I'll end up by singing a song for my son, Lutendo Benedict, and my daughter, Mutondi, assuring their souls that through God's will, I will look after their children. I'm not a good singer, but I'm better than Ben. Is it not right? Chisapungo, could your father sing? He can't, but I'm better. I'll sing Psalm 23. Now that I've told you, I'm aging. My voice now is no longer that good. The Lord's my shepherd, I'll not want. He made me down to lie in pastures green. He leadeth me the quiet waters by. Yea, though I walk in deep dark vale, yet will I fear no ill, for thou art with me, and thy rod my dwelling place shall be. The Benedict Lutendo Sigogo, may their souls rest in peace.
A hand of applause for Ndibudzanyi Emelina Sigogo, please. Ribuwa nga maanḓa mukegulu washu vho ambaho mafhungo hanon. When I heard the passing of my friend Benedict, it was in the morning. I couldn't believe it because I just spoke to his wife maybe 2 hours before that announcement. And I didn't tell anyone that Benny passed away. Some people were calling me and I ignored their calls. I know they wanted to know because they know I'll be one of the first people to know. Until very late, I think around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I called Linderani. While we were talking, he said, no, I'm with Mukeguru here. Then we spoke. And I told her, na atikoni, andiko balero vudza vathu. And she spoke to me. And I end up accepting, Benny, it's no more. Never vatendi we know mihwaro yothe ine mudzimu vari hwarisai vari fana nungo. Sometimes vathu ri tshi sedza rari this is too much. Who are we? Hune ra khou kala mihwaro ine mudzimu a khou hwalisa vathu. Ndi khou vhidza vho Sigogo, vho Khangala, Confidence. Ndo vha ndi sa zwi ḓivhi zwa uri vha na dzina ḽa tshikhuwa vho Confidence. Nda tshi ḓivha uri ndi Khangale fhedzi. So ndi khou vha ṋea tshinoni tshifhinga vha ḓe vha vhe na maipfhi ane vha ḓo vha vha tshi khou amba vha tshi ri vhudza nga mukala wavho.
Good afternoon. My name is Lutendo Sigogo. I am a sister to Kangari by marriage. Kangari has prepared a love letter to her late husband, and I will read it as it is. To my lovely husband, my love, it has been hard for me to believe that you are no longer here. I never imagined that I would have to write a tribute so soon in our marriage journey. Our love was and will always be so special to me. You proved your love for me when you decided to marry me 5 years ago. You asked my family for my hand in marriage and made sure my family received all their cows on the same day. 21 May 2016 will always be so special to me as a result, and I will cherish it for the rest of my life. When we decided to pursue our love journey about 10 years ago, I would have never imagined that our love will grow so big and so special. You told me every day that you loved me since the 31st of May 2009 until the last day of your life. I guess the heavens needed you more than I do. Oh, love, how am I going to face this horrible world and its challenges without you? You made sure I was taken care of, placing a red carpet before my every step. You truly were a gentleman. I will always thank the Almighty for trusting us with our 5 beautiful girls. It won't be easy now that you are not here with me. However, I trust God will give me the strength and courage. It will take time for me to accept that I will never have you calling me love as you used to. Your last message to me reads as follows. I am not giving up my love. I will still hold my lovely wife once more. The 5 beautiful girls will madly go all over me, making noise, telling their stories, and making big holiday plans. You are finally buying your G-Wagon this year. The color is all yours, but the price. And you ended the message with a smiling emoji. We had big plans. We had big plans for our girls. You used to remind me how strong I am. I know now that you were preparing me for the new journey I now have to face without you holding my hand. On your sickbed, you reminded me that I am one strong lady and even thanked me for being strong for our girls. Now that I need you more than ever, I can only pray to God to give me the wisdom and courage to raise our girls without you. My love, you were perfect in your fatherly duties, and for that, I thank you. Thank you for the perfect years you gave me. I will cherish each and every moment of our years together. I promise to raise our girls exactly the way you wanted. Go well, go well. The past 2 weeks, you were in pain, and now you are eternally healed. Your healing now leaves me behind with beautiful memories. Thank you, my love, for spending the rest of your life with me. Thank you for loving me until you took your last breath. Good night, my love, till we meet again. You will always live deep within my heart. I will always love you. Psalm chapter 50, verse 15. Call on me in a day of trouble. I will rescue you, and you will honor me. Isaiah chapter 41, verse 10. Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be afraid, for I am your God. I will strengthen you, I will help you, I will hold on to you with my righteous right hand. From your dear wife and friend, Kangale Confidence Sigogo. Thank you.
As the podium is being prepared, I would like to call upon Ketani Shuana, who will help us with obituary.
Good afternoon. I will not observe the protocol. Just to save time, I will go straight to reading. The obituary reads as follows. Obituary of Acting Justice Lutendo Benedict Sigogo. Acting Justice Lutendo Benedict Sigogo was called on the 31st of July 2021 after battling with COVID-19 related complications. He was admitted at Mediclinic Hospital in Polokwane. He was born on 28 December 1972 at Ngwanania Temeli village. He was the second born son of the late Bonchaweni Edward Sigogo and Bo Emelina Ndibuzanyi Sigogo. Acting Justice Sigogo started his junior primary education at Ngwanania Temeli Primary School in 1978, where he completed Standard 3 in 1983. His parents moved to Thoyando local township, Golgotha, and he accordingly moved with them, completing Standard 5 in 1985 at Chilubi Primary School. He completed his secondary education in 1990 at Thoyando Secondary School. In 1991, he started his tertiary education and obtained his B.Proc degree in 1994 and LLB degree in 1996. He started his career as a candidate attorney at Univen Law Clinic in 1995 to 1997. He was admitted as an attorney in 1998. He continued with his studies, obtaining his LLM degree at University of the North in 2001. He was a leader at heart, born to lead from a young age. He was a loving husband to his wife, Kangale Confidence Nepawe Sigogo, and a wonderful father to his daughters, Chisapungo, Dakaro, Lutendo, Azania, and Sigogo, and he adored them dearly. To his siblings, he was respected by all of us, and we allowed him to take leading roles in many things. He was there for all of us and never too busy for us. He grew up in a Christian family, a confessed member of Reformed Churches, Synod Soutpansberg. He was a youth leader at church. Throughout his educational career, he was in leadership roles and a young activist fighting for justice. At secondary school and varsity, he was a member of the SRC and chairperson of the Law Student Council. As an attorney, he worked at Ace-Ndowa Tennis, later at Katumulobezia Tennis in 1996 for a period of 6 months, and was forced to make a career change due to the passing of the sole director of the firm. This led to a partnership known as Matobo, Rambau, and Sigogo Tennis being established and practicing under the style MRS Inc. This law firm was formed under his leadership, together with Ms. Lizzie Rambau and Mr. Rufuno Matobo. This is one of the longest-serving black legal practice partnerships in the country, spanning more than 22 years. Mr. Sigogo at various times occupied leadership positions within the legal profession, including serving 2 terms as a treasurer and secretary of the Black Lawyers Association, BLA, Limpopo branch in 2006, 2008, and 2008-2010 terms.
He was the chairperson of the Thohoyandou Attorneys Association. In 2011 to 2012, Mr. Sigogo served in the National Executive Committee of the BLA, firstly as the Deputy Secretary General and as the Secretary General. In 2017, he was the President of the Law Society of Northern Provinces, LSNP. This coincided with being the President of the BLA for 2 consecutive terms, from 2015 to 2019. He was the President of the Law Society of Northern Provinces in 2018-2019, Chairperson of the Finance and HR Committee of the LPC in 2019-2020, as well as being the Chairperson of the Enforcement Committee of the BEE Commission. He made his contribution to the transition from the erstwhile provincial law societies to the present legal council as part of the National Forum. He was a member of the Judicial Services Commission, JSC, a constitutional body established in terms of Section 178 of the Constitution, read with the Judicial Service Commission Act 9 of 1994, whose primary functions of the commission are to interview candidates for judicial positions and make recommendations for appointments to the bench, deal with complaints brought against judges, manage the register of judges' registrable interests, and advise national government on matters relating to the judiciary. Acting Justice Lutendo Sigogo, a dedicated champion of transformation, a tenacious lawyer, a courageous fighter, and yet a humble character. He will be missed by many. He is survived by his wife, Kangare Confidence, children, Chiisa Pungo, Dakaro, Lutendo, Azania, and Sigogo, mother, Ndibuzanyi Emelina, and siblings, Colonel Abatugwi Pesi Sigogo, Advocate Lindelani Patience Sigogo SC, Mrs. Mutondi Chamano Vele, and Ndamulelo Edward Sigogo. 2 Timothy 4:7. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have come to a point where we are going to call our pastor, Reverend Mohari, to come and lead us. This is one of the moments that we've been waiting for. We want to hear what is God saying about this situation. And I know God has given Bafunzibo Mohari a message to all of us. Can we give hand of applause to Mr. Mohari as he comes to the podium? Thank you.
Ndimasiari watu wote. Afternoon everyone. Ndikotoma ngolivu wa panelo hii ya varangapanda. Yenda inewanga mfunzi wo mudau. Ndikolivu wa namuta wa Sigogo. Ndimashakanga ndikoliwa pfanelo. Ndi khou hulisana vhoṱhe vho ḓaho kha hovhu vhuṱambo, vhashumisani na Beni Sigogo na muṱa wa ha Sigogo vhoṱhe. Ndi khou takalela u vhala navho maipfi a sigathi kha bugu ya Yobo ndima ya u thoma verse 5 fhedzi. I'm reading from the book of Job chapter 1, 5 verses from 8 to 12. You will pardon me for not preaching in English. I will assign the master of ceremony to try to summarize what I will be saying. I'm reading. Ndiko vhala kha Yobo 1, 8 to 12. Yehova a vhudzisa Sathane ari, mulanda wanga Yobo wo mu vhona naa? Ngauri ahuna ane anga ene kha shango ḽoṱhe, muthu muvhuya wa u luga na wa u ofha mudzimu, a sa pfani na zwivhi. Sathane a fhindula ari, uri Yobo a tshi ofha mudzimu u soko ita, na asi iwe we wa mu fhaṱela khura dza u tanga ene na muṱa wawe na zwoṱhe zwi re zwawe? Mishumo ya zwanḓa zwawe i fhaṱutshedzwa nga iwe, masambi awe a ḓi anda a tshiya a ḓala shango ḽoṱhe. Hone edzo isa tshanḓa tshau u dzhie zwoṱhe zwine a vha nazwo, u vhone a tshi ḓo u ṱala. Yehova ambori, ndi zwone, zwoṱhe zwine a vha nazwo zwo kumedzelwa zwanḓani zwau. Hone ene muṋe u songo isa tshanḓa khae. Sathane a mbo ṱuwa henefho phanḓa ha Yehova. Kha ri rabele. Shall we pray? Mudzimu ra maanḓa oṱhe, muṋe washu nga Yesu Kristo, ri khou livhuwa pfanelo heyi ye wa ri fha yone masiari ano, ya uri ri ḓe ri thetshelese na u pembelela vhutshilo ha Beni. Wo fhumudza roṱhe na vha muṱa nga vhutshilo hovhu he ra vhupfa. Hone tshine ra tshi lilela tshoṱhe tshithihi ndi tsha uri u ri fhumudze roṱhe nga fhungo ḽau, uri musi ri tshi bva hafha kha dende heyi na hune roṱhe ra vha ri hone, ri vhe ri tshi kona u elekanya ḽone ḽi vhe phumudzo yashu. Farisa muṱa woṱhe na vhana vha Beni kha lwendo holu lune a ri ḓivhi uri lwo tou ita hani nga phanḓa. Ri khou tou livhuwa uri u ḓo vha u hone tshifhinga tshoṱhe. I pfa thabelo yashu uri hangwele vhutshinyi hashu, nga mulandu wa murwa wau Yesu Kristo. Amen. Ndi ḓo edzisa u pfufhifhadza bugu heyi ya Yobo. Nga u pfufhifhadza i fhindula mbudziso khulwane ya uri ndi ngani na vhatendi vho kana vhana vha mudzimu vha tshi fhira kha maṱhupho kana vha tshi welwa nga maṱhupho. Ndi wone muṱala muhulwane wa bugu yoṱhe heyi ya Yobo. Why Christians are also suffering. Zwino hei mbudziso ndi mbudziso ine na riṋe ṋamusi ra khou ṱoḓa phindulo yayo, ra ṱoḓa u fhumudzea ngo pfha phindulo yayo. Ndi mbudziso yo endaho i tshi vhudzisiwa nga vhatendi vha tshifhinga tshoṱhe. Vhatendi vha tshifhinga tsha Yobo vho vha vha tshi tenda uri arali u mutendi a u fanela u ṱangana na maṱhupho. U tshi ṱangana na maṱhupho ndi nga mulandu wa uri hu na zwe wa khakhela ngazwo mudzimu, hu na he u si tshimbile zwavhuḓi. Ndi khou tou vhavhalela ferese kha bugu kha ndima mbili fhedzi dzine dza khwaṱhisa hovhu vhuṱanzi. Ndi kha ndima ya vhuṋa ferese ya 17 na dzi tevhelaho nga fhasi. Na muthu a nga luga phanḓa ha mudzimu naa? Na munna a nga naka phanḓa ha mudzimu wawe naa? Khe na vhaḓinḓa vhawe a sa koni u vha fhulufhedza, na vharuṅwa vhawe a tshi vhona vha tshi khakha. Zwino vha dzulaho nḓuni dza matope, vha ḓitikaho nga mavu, vha kwaṱulwa vhunga tsole. Ndima heyi i khou khwaṱhisa uri vhathu vha vha na kuhumbulele kufhio, uri vhathu vhoṱhe vha khakha zwi tshi ḓa kha uri Yobo ndi ngani a tshi khou ṱangana na maṱhupho. Ndi nga mulandu wa uri o khakha. Ndi zwone zwine ha pfhi na vharuṅwa vhawe vha a khakha. Ndi khou vhala na chapter 25 verse 4 to 5. Muthu a nga luga hani phanḓa ha mudzimu? Mubebwa nga musadzi a nga naka hani? Khe phanḓa hawe na ṅwedzi u si mutshena, na ṋaledzi dzi songo naka. Muthu zwino ane a nga mbungu o ralo, ṅwana wa muthu u nga lusidu a nga naka hani? Ndi kuhumbulele kwe vhathu vha tshifhinga tsha Yobo vha vha nako kudzumbululwaho nga khonani dza Yobo dzo ḓaho u mudza musi o ṱangana na khakhathi nnzhi dzi ofhisaho. Vha tshi mu lavhelesa vha ri hu funo vha hu na tshe a ita. Vhathu vha tshifhinga tshoṱhe vha humbula kana vho humbula ngo ralo uri khombo dzi nḓela nga mulandu wa uri ndo ita zwine a zwi ṱanganedzei phanḓa ha mudzimu. So hedzo ndima dzoṱhe dze nda vha ndi tshi khou amba dzi khou dzumbulula heyi ngoho. Mara a si vhathu vha tshifhinga tsha Yobo fhedzi vhe vha vha tshi humbulisa hezwi. Arali vha tshi vhala kha Evangeli ya Yohane 9 verse 1 to 3, vha wana Yesu a tshi khou ṱangana na bofu na vhafunziwa vhawe. Munna o bebiwaho bofu. Vhafunziwa vha khou vhudzisa mbudziso vha ri uyu muthu a tshi bebiwa bofu ho tshinya nnyi, ene muṋe kana vhabebi vhawe? Kuhumbulele ndi kwa uri ri ṱangana na khombo na zwikonḓaho na maṱhupho vhutshiloni nga mulandu wa uri hu na zwe ri si zwi tshimbidze zwavhuḓi. Zwino bugu heyi ya Yobo ndi khou zwi dovholola i khou fhindula yeneyo mbudziso uri ndi nga mini na vhatendi vha tshi ṱanganavho na maṱhupho nga ngoho sa zwine vhathu vha tshifhinga tsha Yobo vha humbulisa zwone, na vha tshifhinga tsha Yesu vha humbulisa zwone, ndi nga mulandu wa vhutshinyi. Ri fanela u kona u vhudzana ngoho na uri na kha kereke ya ṋamusi hu na vhane vha humbulisa zwezwo. Arali muthu o ḓa a nthabelela ndi tshi khou lwala nda sa fhole, madzuloni ori a tende uri thabelo dzawe dzo balelwa, ngauri ene u muthu u mbo ḓi blame nṋe mutambuli uri hai ndi ngauri lutendo lwavho a si lwone, ndi ngauri a vha na lutendo lwo khwaṱhaho. Heyi bugu ya Yobo i fanela u kona u ri thusa ngori yo ṅwalelwa zwone. Kha tshipiḓa tshe ra vhala nga maanḓa nnḓa kha verse 8, Yobo u khou ṱalutshedzwa sa munna wavhuḓi nga nḓila kha musi ino fhira na heyi ye vhathu vha ṱalusa Beni ngayo sa muthu wavhuḓi, sa muthu wa vhutshilo havhuḓi vhune Mudzimu, ndi tshiri zwi khwine kha zwa Beni ndi zwa uri hovha hu khou amba riṋe roṱhe hafha, mara hafha hu khou amba Mudzimu u khou ṱongisa Yobo. Kha vha thetshelese zwine a mu ṱongisisa zwone. U khou vhudzisa Saṱhani swina ḽawe uri wo mu vhona na, ngauri a huna ane anga ene kha shango ḽoṱhe, muthu muvhuya wa u luga na wa u ofha Mudzimu, a sa pfani na zwivhi. Ṱhalutshedzo heyi i strong nga maanḓa, i khou ṱalutshedza uri ndi muthu wavhuḓi wa vhutshilo havhuḓi, hana maṱapaṱapa, not nga tshikalo tshashu, nga standard tsha Mudzimu. Riṋe zwitandadi zwashu zwi a ita zwi si zwone, ri tshi kala muthu uri o tou itisa hani, mara hafha hu khou amba Mudzimu uri Yobo ndi muthu wavhuḓi maṱoni anga, a tshi khou vhudza Saṱhani, wo mu vhona na, u na vhutshilo havhuḓi, ha pfani na zwivhi. Ende nga ngoho Yobo ndi muthu we a vha a na dzi principles, milayo na mikano ya vhutshilo ya strong nga maanḓa. Arali vha tshi vhala kha chapter 31 verse 1, ndi muthu we a vha o ḓivhetshela mikano uri hafha a thi pfuki. Sa tsumbo kha 31:1 uri ndo vhofha mulanga na maṱo anga nde ri thi nga lavhelesi musidzana kana musadzi. Ndi zwithu zwe a ḓivhudza, o vha a na milayo. Mara a si hezwo fhedzi, kha yeneyi ndima ri tshi khou ṱoḓa u tou amba nga vhutshilo nyana hawe, kha heyi ndima ye ri si vhale kha verse 5, vhutshilo ha Yobo havhuḓi vhudzumbululwa e muthu wa dzi thabelo nga maanḓa, muthu wa dzi thabelo nga maanḓa, a tshi ḓi rabelela ene muṋe, a tshi rabelela vhana vhawe, a tshi rabelela muṱa wawe. Ndi muthu wa dzi principles, wa vhutshilo ho dzudzanyeaho zwavhuḓi. Mara kha vhapfe hafha he ra vhala hone, Saṱhani u khou mu zwima, u khou mu sala murahu hune a tshimbila hone. Hezwi Mudzimu a tshi ri kha Saṱhani, mulanda wanga Yobo wo mu vhonana, ha khou vhudzisa mbudziso ine a sa ḓivhi phindulo yayo. U khou vhudzisa mbudziso ine a ḓivha uri Saṱhani o vha a murahu ha Yobo. Ende ndi zwone zwine na Saṱhani a tshi fhindula a ri, u khou amba uyo uri ndi wavhuḓi, a si mutendi wa tshithu, ndi mutendi ngauri una thundu, una zwithu, ndi ngauri wo mu tsireledza. O zwi vhona gai Saṱhani uri Yobo una luhura lwo mu tengeledzaho, a tshi khou mu zwima a murahu hawe, a tshi khou mu ṱoḓa, a tshi khou mu sala murahu. Vha Sigogo, ndi khou ṱoḓa uri khakhathi dza Yobo a si nga mulandu wa vhutshinyi hawe. Khakhathi dzashu vhutshiloni, thaidzo dzine ra ṱangana nadzo, a si tshifhinga tshoṱhe zwine ra nga ri ndi nga mulandu wa vhutshinyi wa zwine ra nga kona u zwi sumba zwe ra ita. Yobo hafha a huna tshe a khakha. A si hafha fhedzi uri a huna tshe a khakha, na musi bugu heyi i tshi fhela, Mudzimu u lwa na khonani dza Yobo uri no khakha, humbelani pfarelo, iyani ha Yobo ani rabelele. Yobo a huna tshe a khakha, ndi Mudzimu ano khou ralo. O vha e munna muvhuya, zwino ndi nga mini ha? Ende ndi yone mbudziso ine ra khou i vhudzisa. Why Yobo wa muvhuya wavhuḓi a tshi ṱangana na khombo, a tshi ṱangana na vhuṱungu vhu vhavhaho? Ndi nga mulandu wa Saṱhani. Ndi nga mulandu wa uri Saṱhani o vha a murahu hawe, a tshi khou mu zwima, a tshi khou lwela u mu luṱanya na Mudzimu. Ndi ene cause. Hoyu Saṱhani ri fanela u mu ḓivha, ri fanela u mu vhona. Vhunzhi ha dzi khakhathi miṱani una tshanḓa Saṱhani, mishumoni una tshanḓa, shangoni hoṱhe Saṱhani una tshanḓa. Mara ḽa phumudzo ḽine nda khou ṱoḓa u ḽi ḓisa khavho vhoṱhe sa vhatendi na vha muṱa, ndi uri Saṱhani naho a na tshanḓa, a na maanḓa, a tshi nga kona uri ṱhukhukanya, maanḓa awe o kaliwa. Vha khou mpfa vhafunzi vho mudaho? Maanḓa a Saṱhani o kaliwa, anga a ḽigwa ḽihulu ḽi no fhisa, ḽi no luma, ḽine na musi vha tshi to ḽi vhona ḽi tshi fhufhela nṱha vha to zwi pfa uri ḽi nga vha vusa fhasi. Mara ḽo hungiwa, ḽi kona fhedzi u swika hune tshaini ya swika hone. Saṱhani nga eṱhe a huna tshine a kona musi Mudzimu o ri tangeledza nga khura dzawe. Ndi zwone zwine na Saṱhani a khou ri pruvela zwone, uri o mona a sa koni u dzhena kha luhura lwo tingeledzaho Yobo lwa Mudzimu. Ha ngo kona u swikela Mudzimu a tshi mu vulela, a tshi ri dzhenaiha. Vha khou mpfa vho Emeli, vha khou mpfa vho Sigogo? Ri khou fanela u pfesesa uri zwi ḓaho kha riṋe zwi vhavhaho, naho Saṱhani a na tshanḓa tshihulu, sa zwine vha vhala kha bugu ya Zakaria 3, hune Zakaria a ri sumbedza ri a tshi khou vhona Yoshuwa o ima phanḓa ha Mudzimu, Saṱhani a tshi khou mu hwelela. Saṱhani u shuma u luṱanya vhana vha Mudzimu na Mudzimu. Mara sa zwe nda amba, zwine a kona u ita zwo kaliwa, zwi guma nḓilani. Ha na maanḓa a no fhira ane Mudzimu a mulaedza. Hafha Saṱhani ene muno u tou ri kha Mudzimu, iwe arali dzhia zwoṱhe zwine Yobo avha nazwo u ḓo u ṱala. Saṱhani na ene uya zwi ḓivha uri Ramanda oṱhe ndi Mudzimu. Mudzimu a kona uri okay, ndi khou tendela uri dzhena iha khae u dzhie. Nṋe ndi a ḓivha uri a nga si nṱale. No vhatendi vha fanela u fhumudzea uri Mudzimu wavho ndi ene a vha lwelaho a vha tsireledzaho. Saṱhani ha iti tshithu na tshithihi tshe a si tendelwe. Ndi khou ṱoḓa uri na u ṱuwa ha Beni afha na ha Mutondi vho Emelina, Saṱhani nga eṱhe ha koni. Mudzimu ndi ene o tendaho, o dzudzanyaho. Ndi zwone zwine ra khou fanela u pfha zwone, ndi zwone zwine ra khou fanela u ḓivha zwone. Vha ḓivha Saṱhani o ri u tendelwa ri songo fhurana. Vha tshi pfha ndi tshi ri Saṱhani u nga ḽigwa ḽihulu ḽo hungiwaho, vha songo ri ndi khou ri ha shumi hana maanḓa. A to fhiwa tshikhala tshithihi u ita hezwi zwo iteaho 2 weeks ago KwaZulu Natal na Gauteng. Zwino nga zwa tshidumbumuko hezwiḽa u tshi nga vhathu vho dzhenwa, zwi tshi thuthiwa nga luthihi fhedzi. Nḓila ye Saṱhani o fhiwa tshikhala tshiṱuku u to mu vulela fhedzi uri kha ite ngo funa, mara a songo pfukela kha muya na kha muthu ene muṋe. O kwashekanya zwithu nga tshipiḓa tshiṱukuṱuku a tshi khou ṱoḓa u vhulaya. Habe ndivho yawe khulwane yo vha i ya u bvisa Yobo kha lufuno lwa Mudzimu, kha vhushaka na Mudzimu. Ya iya uri Yobo a swike hune a ri Mudzimu hawe. Mudzimu ndi nnyi a si tsha murabela. Ri khou fhindula mbudziso ya uri ndi nga mini na kha vhana vha Mudzimu hu tshi vha na maṱhupho. Ri khou fanela u vhona Saṱhani, ende ri fanela u ḓivha na ndivho yawe ndi ya uri a ri bvise kha vhushaka na Mudzimu, a ri litshise u vha vhatendi. U ḓa nga maanḓa mahulu a tshi vhaisa vhana vha Mudzimu. Ndi khou ṱoḓa u fhedza nga uri Yobo o vhaisiwa nga maanḓa, nahone a vhaisala nga maanḓa. Vha tshi vhala kha verse 20 ya ndima yeneyi, vha ḓo pfha muthu o vhaisalaho nga maanḓa. Ndi khou vha vhalela heyi verse ya 20. Yobo a mbo takuwa a kherukanya nguvho dzawe, a ṱunya mavhudzi awe, a gwadama fhasi a losha. Ri songo shushedzana, vhuṱungu ho vha vhuhulwane ha vhana vhawe vha 10, ha ndaka yawe nnzhi, ha vhashumi vhawe, ha zwithu zwe a zwi pulana a zwi dzudzanya lwa tshifhinga tshilapfu. Nga tshifhinga tshiṱukuṱuku zwi tshi phusukana, o lemelwa. Ho vha na vhuṱungu he a vhupfa vhuhulwane. Ende ndi zwone zwine zwe a vha a khou ṱoḓa, a tshi khou ṱoḓa uri mafheleloni Yobo a ṱale Mudzimu. No mbudziso ine ra khou i fhindula ndi ya uri ndi nga mini Yobo a songo ṱala Mudzimu naho o ṱangana na zwikonḓaho. Ndi vhona unga zwi a ri thusa roṱhe zwihulwane vha muṱa kha tshifhinga hetshi tshi konḓaho. Hu na zwithu zwiraru zwone zwine nda khou ṱoḓa u fhedza khazwo. Number 1, naho ho vha na vhuṱungu vhuhulu vhu vhavhaho vhukuma mbiluni ya Yobo ya u ṱuwelwa nga vhana vhawe na nga zwoṱhe zwawe, mara tsho mu khwaṱhisaho tsha mu imisa ndi tshiphiri tshawe tshe nda ri o vha a natsho, hetshi tshe ra tshi vhala kha verse 5 tsha u vha muthu wa dzithabelo, zwine a khou zwi sumbedza na zwino musi o welwa nga khombo dzi dinaho dzoṱhe. Bivhili ita uri a ḓi posa fhasi, a ḓi laṱela fhasi, a gwadama a tshi khou amba na Mudzimu. Nṋe ndi nga si vhe nda vha zwi fhela uri riṋe ri ḓo kona u vha fhumudza vha muṱa wa Sigogo, ri nga si vhe ra kona. Tshine tsha nga vha farisa tsha vha imisa vho Emelina na vhana vhavho na mashaka, ndi tshe Yobo a tshila ngatsho, ndi tshiphiri tshawe. Ndi hetshi tshine vha pfa na Dafita vha tshi vhala Samuele ya u thoma ndima ya 30 verse 6, zwiḽa musi Dafita o vutshelwa nga maswole awe nga murahu ha musi vhafumakadzi na thundu na zwoṱhe zwo thubiwa vho no lila, upfi vha fhelelwa nga maanḓa na u lila. No tshiphiri tsha hone ndi tsha uri Dafita a wana maanḓa, ende Yobo na ene o wana maanḓa henefha nga u ḓi laṱela fhasi zwanḓani zwa Mudzimu, a rabela. Ndi tshone tshithu tshi tshoṱhe, thabelo ndi tshone tshithu tshi fhumudzaho, tshi itaho, tshi nga vha tshimbidzaho vhukati ha lwendo holu lulemelaho. Vha ṱoḓa haya maanḓa e Dafita a wana, vha ṱoḓa haya maanḓa e Yobo a wana. Ndi zwone zwine zwa nga kona u vha tshimbidza. Ndi tshithu tsho thoma kha zwirali. Mara tshithu tsha vhuvhili a si thabelo fhedzi. Thabelo i funa u tshimbila na nḓivho, knowledge ya u ḓivha Mudzimu uri ndi nnyi. Zwino tshiṅwe tsho thusaho Yobo ndi u ḓivha uri Mudzimu u na tshanḓa tshithihi. Hafha he ra si vhale kha mafheleloni kha ndima yeneyi, zwo thusaho Yobo ndi u pfesesa uri tshanḓa tsha Mudzimu tsho mphaho zwavhuḓi, tsho faho vho Emelina Beni na Mutondi na vho Sigogo mukalaha, zwa vha zwavhuḓi, vha ḓiphina ngazwo. Hetshiḽa tshanḓa tshavhuḓi tsho itaho zwivhuya nḓilani yoṱhe ya vhutshilo ndi tshithihi na tshenetshi tshine ṋamusi tsha khou dzhia zwifhiwa zwo ḓaho. Ndi uri vhathu vhanzhi zwino khou dina, ndi problem khulwane ine ra khou amba ngayo. Vha vhona Mudzimu sa wavhuḓi fhedzi, a tshi vha fha zwavhuḓi fhedzi, a tshi vha fha zwi si zwavhuḓi vha vhona unga a si ene. Zwino vho Yobo vho ri tsho vha thusa nga maanḓa hetshi tshithu. Tshanḓa tsha Mudzimu tsho mphaho vhana vhanga vha 10, tsho mphaho lupfumo, tsho mphaho zwoṱhe. Ndi tshene tshiḽa tshithihi tshino khou dzhia zwoṱhe hezwi. Tshi isa phungo, tshanḓa tsho ni fhaho khotsi ndi tshone tsho dzhiaho. Zwino ndi nḓivho heyi. Zwino vhathu vha ḓo ri Mudzimu u tou vha Mudzimu ḓe ano mbaisa. Riṋe ro gudaho kati ka sima ya Heidelberg, ri gudisa uri Mudzimu u ri fha zwavhuḓi a dovha a ri fha na zwi si zwavhuḓi, ri fanela u kona u mu livhuwa. Ndi khou fhumudza vha Sigogo nga zwe Yobo a fhira khazwo a fhumudzea, a vha na maanḓa a isa phanḓa na vhutshilo hawe. Ndi nga mulandu wa uri o vhona hetshi tshanḓa. Kha vha tshi vhone, nṋe thi ngori a zwi vhavhi zwa lufu, zwi a vhavha nga maanḓa, na Yobo zwo vha zwi tshi khou vhavha, mara thabelo na heyi nḓivho ya tshanḓa tsha mudzimu zwo mu thusa nga maanḓa. Mara tshithu tsho fhedzisela tshine ra khou fhedza ngatsho kha dzedzi ndima dzo fhedzisela ndi tsha u ḓivha uri mudzimu ha khakhi. Yobo u ṱanganedza uri hoyu mudzimu wa tshanḓa tshithihi tshi no mpha zwavhuḓi tsha dovha tsha mpha zwi si zwavhuḓi ha khakhi. U a ḓivha zwine ndi si zwi ḓivhe, u a ḓivha zwa phanḓa zwa uri phanḓa u ḓo tou itisa hani. Arali ndi tshi khou ḽi amba zwavhuḓi, ndi tshi khou amba na vhana, vha fanela u humbula nga mafhungo na vhomme ya vhana, vha fanela u humbula nga mafhungo a hungu ḽi tshi fida Eliya. Hovha hu si vhathu vha tshi vhala, a thi ḓivhi uri vha khou zwi vhala zwavhuḓi na. Vhone vha khou vhona unga hungu ḽi nga hwala ḽofo ḽa sa we. Vhurotho he ḽa doba na ṋama ye ḽa doba a si ḽofo, zwo ḽiwaho nga Eliya. Ndi zwe ḽa kona u doba. Na mudzimu u ḓo ri vhavhelela sa mahunguvhu ha khakhi, ri sa ḓivhi uri phanḓa zwi ḓo tshimbila hani, mara ri tshi mu fhulufhela u ḓo tshimbila na riṋe o ri fara nga tshanḓa. Nṋe ndo vha ndi khou ri vha muṱa kha vha fhumudzee nga haya maipfi nga nḓila ye Yobo ṅwana wa mudzimu a fhumudzea ngayo. Vha songo ṱola u ḓivhea mulandu wa uri vhone vho ita mini, vha ita mini, zwa sa itise hani. Mudzimu u shuma nga nḓila dzawe, ha shumi fhedzi ngauri nga mulandu wa vhutshinyi hawe. Ndi zwone zwine bugu heyi ya Yobo ya ri fhumudza khazwo. Vhafunzi vho ḽifhadzi vha kha ḓi vha hone? Vho ṱuwa? Kha vha ite tabelo.
haya ndeyo khala kha vha shumise uongano fhumudza wa muṱa hoyu wa Sigogo rabela hezwi dzina ḽa muṋe washu Yesu Kristo.
ndo livhuwa. Thanks, Reverend Mohali, for the message you delivered to us. When you was descending the step, he said to me, "Nainwini doaruwa," meaning I'll be like him one day. Hey, that's a blessing. Eh? If I can be like him one day, that will be a blessing. He requested that I must sum up his message. And it's difficult for me to sum up messages. Otherwise, I'll start preaching again. In our church, he is the one who taught me how to preach in church. So once I start, repeating what you said about Funzi, it will be another sermon. But in short, he was answering the question that why do we as Christians suffer? And that is what he was comforting the family, trying to answer this question. And he indicated that because he read from the book of Job. So people at that time, they believed that if something or if you are suffering, it is because of your sins. But he was now showing us that it is not entirely true that you only suffer because you have sinned, but God allows that. He indicated also that the devil have got a lot of influence in our suffering, but its power is limited. It's assuring Christians that God have got upper hand all the time. Whether we are going through suffering, whether things are not going well, we must know that God allows everything or all things to happen. But he indicated three things that makes Job's life or Christian life to survive, or for Job to sustain its Christianity or its belief, its faith in God. He said it's because he was a prayerful man. He prayed. And the second thing was knowledge of knowing who God is. And he said God will never make mistake in our life. Bafunzi no zama. Okay, a hand of applause for me. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We are almost at the end of our program. These people who are taking the videos, they are the one who, did we use a lot of time? Yeah, they are the cause. Because they said I must switch off my phone. I don't even know what time is it. So you must blame them. If they allowed me, I will tell you it's 5 minutes, sit down. But this time I don't have watch. I don't have time. But we are almost at the end. We would like to
call Mrs. Matozi TC Bazara to come and render this item, whereby she will be giving announcement and vote of thanks.
Nyumasiari watu wote. Afternoon. Thank you, Program Director Wazara, for giving me this opportunity to move a vote of thanks for the memorial service of Benedict Lutendo Sigogo. A loaded task, indeed, bearing the state we are in this family. Our heartfelt vote of thanks to our guests who came to bid farewell to our son, to our brother, to our uncle, to our father, and a husband to his dearest wife. I would like to thank God for making this day a success. To the church, we as the Sigogo family, we are grateful as the family for the messages of support and prayers we received during this difficult time. Your prayer eased the pain of what the family is going through. To the judiciary, your support has been absolutely amazing. You provided our son, Benny, the opportunity, the environment to display his talents. We also want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule and come to support the family today. We are grateful for sharing with us the good life you shared with Benny, a life well lived indeed. Today we had an opportunity to hear your thoughts, and this is definitely encouraging us as the family. Benny's life was short, but very memorable. He wasted none of the time he had. If I can summarize what the people or the presenters have said, they sum up by saying that Benny was a man of integrity, a shining star, a leader, a role model, a selfless person, an independent person, a mentor, and a principled man, and a caring person. Now, we are here with our neighbors, the community. I would not be fair if I forgot to thank them. Your presence as our neighbors, as the community, your support and your helping hands won't go unnoticed. We really appreciate it. And we are here in this place. This place is very beautiful. The decor people, this type of the decor cannot only happen overnight, but it requires planning. We are fortunate to have people or to be supported by a team of people like you. Thank you. our announcements. Tomorrow we'll start our work, we'll start our function here at 7 o'clock. Only people who receive the invite will attend the funeral. If you didn't receive the invite, you are not expected to come, so we ask you not to come. As you are aware that now we are guided by the COVID regulations. Thank you. Sorry, Vazara. Ndo hangwa uli wa mchimbiza mshumu. Vazara, chera tutomaro ate. Sorry, nikombera parea. I thank you. Okay, sorry again. We have prepared takeaways. Well, Linda, where are those takeaways? At the garage. Okay, thank you. So we have prepared the takeaways. So when we leave here, we'll pick our takeaways and go, as we are aware that we are guided by the COVID rules. We are not supposed to sit here or to eat in a group. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Vazara, for vote of thanks and announcement. Before I call my Reverend Dr. Lipadzi to come and close with word of prayer, there is a little announcement that we are announcing even to those who are streaming now, that tomorrow there will be a new link. But if you don't get a new link, just go on your YouTube and Google or request on your link. Just say funeral of Benedict Sigogo. Then you will get the link. That will be straightforward as it is. And I want to thank all the audience for being so good to me and honoring my friend in this fashion. I believe tomorrow, those of us who have received invitation or confirmation that we should come, please let us make sure that at 7 o'clock we are seated here. Thank you very much for Funzibo, Dr. Lipadzi, you can come. Tomorrow, please say.
Let us bow our heads and pray. Gracious Heavenly Father, we are so thankful for this day in which you reminded us that you are gracious, you are always with us as people. No matter what kind of difficulties we face in life, you always provide us with the necessary gifts. We have witnessed that today when we hear many stories about Benedict's life. Indeed, it's a gift that you blessed the family, the church, and the country with. Though we may be facing many challenges as families, as churches, and as a country, we were so comforted that you always give us gifts that come and be with us and help us to deal with many challenges that we face. And Father, as we have gathered here, mourning, asking ourselves questions about tomorrow, the life that you have given us, Benedict's life, really assures us tomorrow is there. You will be in our midst. You will walk with us. Gracious Heavenly Father, we are praying for this widow and the orphans. We are so comforted that they will have tomorrow because you will be there with them. We pray for this Sigogo family to provide the necessary support structure to this widow and to these orphans. And Heavenly Father, we want to praise you and to thank you for Lutendo's life to our lives, as we have heard this afternoon. Father, we thank you that you have comforted the family after they heard this sad news. Continue to bless them. And we thank you for this service that we had today. We thank you for your word that now reached us. Continue to bless the family. We also pray for the funeral work tomorrow. We pray for the pastor and all who will assemble, and all of us who will follow through the Facebook, the YouTube, and other media tools. As we part our ways this evening, we pray for journey mercies. Some of us are traveling long distances. We pray that you bless us on our way. We pray this in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you. Let's allow the family to leave the hall and the rest of us.